So, Mohammed, your company is in the virtual event space that saw meteoric rise during the pandemic. How are virtual events now?
The virtual events were growing even before pandemic. So again, contrary to the belief that's out there is that it might be something that only became popular during the pandemic. Again, we started back in 2016. From 2016 all the way till end of 2019, early 2020, we were already growing 50% to 100% year on year, and we were already profitable from year one. Now, during the pandemic, of course, anyone within our industry would have seen great growth, and so did we. We are one of the largest players in the industry. From the peak, as expected, things have come down, but we can already see that 2023 is a far better year versus last year. So I expect virtual events to continue to grow from the base that we have settled in 2022. But yeah, they're there, and they will continue to grow as they were doing before the pandemic.
You grew your company fully bootstrapped, did not raise any money, where some of the players in the market, like Hopin, raised huge amounts of money. Um, how do you think that determines how these companies are doing today?
Yeah, I think, see, we didn't raise any money just because we didn't need any money. Like again, we got, I think, a knock on our doors pretty much from every single VC that exists out there. And again, our just conversation with them was that, see, we know that we are going through this hyper growth. We already have tons of money. We don't know how to even invest that money. And again, one thing that I didn't want you to do was to again set false expectations with them of what will happen after the pandemic. The reality is that I believe no one knew what will happen after the pandemic, and so we told them, what, let the pandemic be over. Let us find out, okay, what's the impact that it's going to have on our business, and then from there, it's going to be very easy for us to predict the next 6 to 12 months, which typically any VC really cares about, and we would be okay to have a conversation at that time. So for us, just because we didn't raise any VC money, we were in full control of our destiny and our future, and that's why vFairs is one of the, I think, only players in the industry who didn't let go of anyone. We didn't lay off anyone just because we were very reasonable of how we were spending money. I think anyone else who would have raised money, like Hopin, and there are many others, I think they would have a lot more pressure on them to keep on showing that exponential growth. That is just almost impossible to achieve, and hence, as a result of that, I just believe that they will have to make a lot more tough decisions than what we have to.
Got it. You did not lay anybody off. Is that because you hired conservatively during the mega years, or?
Yeah, so see, we hired pretty aggressively when it comes to providing the most amazing customer support to the people who already have signed up. But we didn't hire aggressively by hiring 50 SDRs overnight or 50 A's overnight, just because we were of the opinion that this hyper growth will continue to exist exactly the same pace the way it would be, right? So we went from almost 25 people to 250 people in a period of 6 months. So you can imagine that we did hire a lot, and we did hire aggressively, but we are still at around 250 people. We just picked the people in the right just departments where we knew that, okay, even when things will settle down, even if things will come back by 25-30%, we would still need these people. We would still need the skill set. So we hired aggressively, but just, I think, at the right in the right departments.
Before the pandemic, let's say, demand kicked in, so starting from your inception of the business until like 2020 spring, how were you acquiring customers? What worked before the pandemic?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, up until now, which was again, the start of 2023, all of our business is generated through inbound, word of mouth, and referrals. We literally hired our outbound team late 2022, early 2023. That's where we are. So again, we have always been of the opinion that the events industry in general, as much as it's a tech industry, it's a software as a service and MVP in the industry, it's also a hospitality industry, which means that we have to serve this customer to the best of our ability we have to make sure that the reason that they're subscribing to our service, which is to run that big event or those series of big events, uh, they get the best ROI out of that. And pretty much like what happens in any hospitality industry, as a result of that, the word of mouth, the referral, the recommendations that we are going to get from that customer will help us fuel the growth for our future sales. So again, from the very first customer to over 2,000 plus customers that we serve, they all somehow have come from a referral of an existing customer or a word of mouth from an existing customer, or they were participant of one of our events that we were serving. So that's how we have been growing up until now.
You have enterprise focus. You're one of those companies that has a request demo on the website, no self serve. Were you enterprise focused from the start?
We were enterprise focused from the start. And again, our thesis on day one was that we participated in a lot of physical events. I participated in a lot of physical events just purely as a student, right? So I used to, when I was graduating from my master's degree, I used to participate in job fairs. And I just used to look at that job fair, and I always wanted to see, like, how can I make this event and can provide the same kind of benefits that one expect to see in a physical event, but in a virtual format, which is a lot more scalable. You don't have to be there in person if you cannot be. I see tons of benefits of in-person events, and we serve in-person events as well. But the idea was that people who cannot be there, whether it's from an exhibitor perspective or an attendee perspective, how can I better serve them, right? So in that regard, we wanted to solve that particular problem with scale, with being a lot more cost effective, and that's what we focused on. And in most of these in-person events, the people who typically run those events are big enterprises, or even the people who participate on those in-person events usually are the big enterprises, right? So again, naturally the focus went into that enterprise sector, that mid-market sector, from day one.
Usually, when a company is enterprise focused, you're thinking long sales cycles, a lot of ABM, definitely outbound heavy, and you guys are inbound heavy. So you have like, I'm guessing you still have like inbound SDRs, qualifying leads. What does
we,
your
we
sales
have
organization
yeah,
look
yeah, we
like?
have. So we have the inbound SDRs. So again, those inquiries that comes on an everyday basis, they're picked up by an inbound SDR. They vet that customer, that they're looking for an event. They're looking for an event that fits the kind of product that we offer, and then from there they book a meeting for an AE. So that's typically kind of a
Mhm.
lead cycle. I just also want to quickly comment on that. See, the sales cycle is, of course, it involves human, it involves people. But once a customer do purchase the product from us, the product itself is fully self-service, right? So again, when a customer go ahead and log into our product, they can use that product to pretty much run an event from A to Z all by themselves. We do provide them with both a project manager and a customer support person, just because again, we have this internal philosophy that we don't want to just give the technology and walk away. We want to make sure that we do share the best practices with the customer of how to run a successful event. It's like you getting married, right? You can run your entire wedding event all by yourself, but you wanna brainstorm with other people who have already got married, or who already have rented a venue, or have kind of ordered a cake, or the clothes and everything. You want to brainstorm with someone of where to go for the right thing, right? And we do provide that support free of charge. We are one of the only players in the industry who never ever charge on our customer support. It comes free of charge for as many hours as you would want to use that service for, because again, for us, it's a cycle. Help customer run a very successful event, so that they and their attendees praise about the event and the provider, and that help us our future kind of growth for the business.
Companies that rely on referrals and word of mouth for their pipeline usually have a particular problem. And the problem is typically that if you want to have 30% more demos next week or 100%, you have no lever to pull. You can't say make more dials or send more email, whatever. So, what are you guys doing to get more demos next week, next month, next quarter?
So people, I think first of all, we never had to face that issue just because again, we are here for the long term. Like there's no one, telling me that, oh, by the way, you have to somehow get this crazy growth in the next 1, 2, 3 months, right? Like for us, we just want to serve our customers. We want to serve our customers to the best of our ability, and we can take time. Like we're not one of those companies where we have to, I don't do an IPO tomorrow or get acquired tomorrow or raise a VC fund tomorrow. We have been running this business in a pretty reasonable way for the last 7 years, and that will continue to remain our focus. Now, having said that, we do believe that we can serve a lot more customers, and we would love to serve a lot more customers. Given that the industry has gone through a rapid pace, we want to make sure that we're the leader in the G2 category, and we want to stay the leader in the G2 category, right? And that's why now we have built the outbound team. We're building the outbound team. We're building based on a lot of success that we have had in the past. But again, I just want you to know that we don't go through the same pressure that a typical B2B VC funded SaaS company has to do right now. Like our main focus right now is always, okay, what are the customers who are running their event next week and how can I serve them better? I don't have the opposite problem. I don't have a problem, oh, I have to get 20 more demos or 50 more demos next week just because I want to make a lot of money, in the next 1 month. We want to do it. We want to do it the right way.
Mm-hmm. Also, to have predictable growth, you probably have some sort of a marketing engine that is raising awareness, things like that. So, what is working in your marketing to help with the word of mouth? Are you incentivizing word of mouth? What's going on there?
Yeah, I think see we do have we do have incentive schemes both internally and externally where again that word of mouth it happens organically, and on speaking that's still the biggest contributing factor. But are there other incentives internally and externally that kind of help that person go to the next step of actually going ahead and recommending that? We do have, whether it's with our customers where they get a certain amount of discount for their next event if they have recommended us to someone. So we do have that kind of a referral scheme. And then similarly internally, people who are working with these customers, to follow with them and ask them again, to go ahead and recommend internally within their company or to their friend circle. There's something in it for them as well. So that does work. But again, by and large, I would say a good 80% of all of that happens organically without anyone seeing any benefit in it. They just feel that, okay, someone has served me really well, and you know what, let me share that happiness with a lot of other people who might be able to benefit from the service, right? So that's one. The second thing is, we always go deep in our product offering, right? So again, a lot of other players in the industry, they have a product. It is meant for, let's say, a virtual conference, but then there are 20 other use cases that try to use that product by again, just configuring it, right? In our case, we have a very deep product offering for different industries and for different use cases. For example, when our customers use us for a virtual product show, we have a fully self-service e-commerce bundle in there where people can upload products, people can come and can view those products, people can purchase those products. There's a shopping cart and so forth. For anyone else, it's Zoom or Zoom Plus Plus or again a meeting tool, and then you have to make a lot of that purchase outside the system from the customer's website. Similarly, if it's a job fair, a virtual job fair, we have a job board. People can have their resume in there. People can apply for jobs. Others can view those resumes. They can shortlist them. They can hire them. They can have. So we go deep with our product offering, whereby for 20 plus different use cases for which people would need a virtual product or a virtual event solution for, we have that depth of knowledge that others don't.
Well, tell me about your product strategy. How have you landed? How did you land on this particular strategy that you have,
Sure.
and how is it different from competitive players?
Yeah. Again, it all started by just closely participating in a lot of those physical events, right? So again, by and large, the virtual event industry believe that, okay, physical events are happening. Let me replicate that in a virtual event. Let's only focus on the communication part, which is a core, and again, we do that as well. But the idea is that, okay, in that physical event, what is that end problem that they're trying to solve? So in a job fair, a recruiter or a company is trying to interview someone, and then get the job applications in the form of resumes, and then actually try to hire that person. So we conduct in-depth interviews on that end goal for which people are going into that particular physical event. Similarly, for a trade show, okay, if there's a buyer and seller, they're meeting with each other. Okay, what are you doing when you meet with each other? How do you place orders? What happens after an order is placed? So for us, it was those in-depth interviews that we have done across each and every industry. And again, that's how we even got our first set of customers, right? Again, when we were participating in that, when we were saying, okay, you're doing this physical event, you're participating in one, you're able to meet 50, 100, 200 people over here. What if we give you the same benefit that you're getting in physical fair or physical event? However, uh, help you do it at a scale. 200 people, 2,000 people, 20,000 people. People were willing to try it out. We built the MVP. We let them try it out. They saw the benefit and again signed up for a paid version then, right? But again, it all started by just closely monitoring and interviewing, again, 5 to 10 customers in each and every industry.
When you look in the virtual event space, there's a lot of players that are very similar to each other. You do a webinar, I do a webinar. You can hold a virtual conference, a networking table.
Absolutely.
Everybody seems to have almost every feature.
Yeah.
So how do you think about differentiation in this space? What can you differentiate on, and what do you differentiate on?
Sure. No, I totally agree with you. I think from an external customer perspective, if they're all going to check the website, with time they all would look the same because everyone will just have the checkbox. Or I can do that. I can do that. I think the challenge that any prospective customer would have is that, okay, are they willing to go ahead and have deep demos with with vendors, and again ask them for that specific end problem that they're trying to solve. Again, I can bring a customer in a demo call. In 30 minutes I can show them all the big features. But I think what we try to do with our again the leads that we get or the customers that we speak to is that, okay, you want a virtual conference, but tell me that end goal that you're trying to achieve. And again, the reason that we're able to speak about that end goal, whether it is the trade show or the conference or the job fairs or the open days or in the other type of event, we're able to show them that extra 30% depth of features because we have been doing this for the last 7 years. Most of these other players, Hopin, etc., like they're an aftermath of COVID or just launching right before COVID, right? So when we have been investing in this product for the last 7 years, in most cases we have that extra depth of features that others don't. We have that extra depth of integrations with the big players, whether it's Marketo or HubSpot or Salesforce, that others don't. And again, where we then significantly differentiate from anyone else is that, okay, here's a product that no one else have, at least certain features. And then here is the list of 2,000 plus customers that we have served. You pick up anyone from this list, and we will set up a reference call between you and them. They will tell you how we have served a similar use case with them, and how they have been very successful with their event. And again, these people also then care about the social word that's out there. They will do their research on whether it's on Capterra or on G2 or LinkedIn. They will also call our customers. I think that's where we again just stand out compared to a lot of other people out there.
I asked you to combine some lessons learned along the way in this entrepreneurial journey. And first lesson, you already slightly touched upon it, was identify and solve a specific problem for a specific market. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, see, again, this whole thing started because when I was a student, right, I was looking for jobs. I will participate in my university job fairs. I will have to wait in line for hours to talk to a rep from an IBM or an Amazon or Microsoft, only to be told that, oh, by the way, give me your resume, and they will put that resume along with a pile of literally 300 other resumes, apply for the job online on the website, and will come back to you. And again, it was a lot of work from their side as well. They had to speak to 300 people. It was a lot of work from my side as well. I have to wait an hours to speak to them. And then it's a lot of work from an event organizer perspective. They have to arrange for this big physical event, right? And the idea was that, okay, how can I solve this problem in a better way for everyone? And again, physical events are great and they should always be there. And, we serve them as well. But, For the people who cannot be there, or for the people who need a little bit more efficiency, how can we do that? So again, it was very closely monitoring a certain use case, a certain industry, and trying to solve that problem for them. So again, as I said, we conducted a lot of interviews. Before even building the product, we had customers, or we had people who said, okay, once you build it, once you give me the same benefit that a physical event is providing, uh, but at a fraction of a cost, we will try it out. So that's how it all started. It all started by agreeing on the problem with a prospective customer, them already saying that, yes, I agree with the proposition, let's try to do it in an efficient way. So that was done. From there, the next thing was, okay, can I build an MVP, and can I have people who already have committed who will be using this MVP? So for every use case, whether it was a job fair or a trade show or an open day, we already had customers who had seen our wireframes, have signed off on those, that, okay, once you're able to build something like this, I will be willing to pay you for that, right? So that's how it all started. Again, agreeing with the customers of this problem exists, taking their help of learning a bit more about the problems that they want us to solve, and then building the MVP as a result of that.
You're a big believer in customer retention over acquisition. That the companies believe should focus more on retention and satisfaction than acquisition. Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. See, again, as I mentioned earlier, our again the single biggest goal that we as a company of 250 plus people have is, okay, what's our NPS? It's not about, okay, what's the growth of the company, or, okay, how many new customers we're going to acquire. It is about what our existing customers are saying about us, whether it's about us as people. We have an NPS for every front facing, the customer facing role. And then we have the NPS about the product, right? We have both NPS that we closely monitor. So that's our OKR. Our OKR is to improve on the overall NPS of the company. That's what we track our success with. And again, as we are of the opinion that if our existing customers are going to be happy with us, this company will continue to grow, and it has been growing for the last 7 years. So for me, I'm a big believer on just if I have taken someone's money, I want to make sure that I serve them best, and that's where my focus would be, and everything else will come naturally as a result of that.
Um, there's some leading marketing thinkers saying that a company cannot grow just by relying on retention. That acquisition drives more growth than retention. Um, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I'm sure like there would be wisdom on that one. I think the way I believe it is that as far as you have customer retention, if you have more than 100% of net revenue retention, there's no better way of growing than by just retaining the customers and expanding into those customers, specifically if you're dealing with enterprise market and mid market, right? So again, if I have to pick, in a perfect world, you should be growing in both. That's how you'll get the ultimate growth. But I have to pick one. 100%, it's the net revenue retention from the existing customers. For me, that's the biggest thing, right? Now, what that helps is that it helps you, of course, grow your revenue. It helps with customer retention. It helps in customer expansion, but it also with time help you learn those I think a little bit more about the industry and the company that you can then go back and use in your sales and marketing efforts, right? So for me, we are very much big in investing in long tail. That, okay, the virtual conference industry is a really really big one, and we dominate that as well. But okay, what are some of those other long tail use cases where we can really serve our customers really well? So if someone want to do a sales kickoff, I want to have a product that's specialized for a sales virtual kickoff meeting. If someone wants to do a virtual benefits fair, letting their employees and dependents meet with vendors like MetLife and Fidelity, I want to have a very deep product in there. And you cannot go that deep unless you have spent years with your existing customers. If you're speaking with them for a couple of hours, closing the deal, and then focusing on just the next big customer, I just feel that depth that will come in your sales and marketing, you will lack that. And again, for us, that has been the key as well. which is understand your customer to the best of your ability, spend months, years in building that relationship. You will get the same use case, but then you will learn so much about the industry that otherwise it's almost impossible for you to learn on your own.
In order to deliver great product, great service, all that, you rely on top talent, talent retention, and culture. And you've said that you believe in creating a positive company culture that fosters innovation and collaboration. So how do you do that? How do you create a culture that is about collaboration and innovation?
Sure. Yeah, I think, if the whole business is dependent on customer happiness and success, then one does realize that the biggest asset that you have as a company are the people. Customers are not going to be happy if your own employees are not happy and are not satisfied, right? So for us, again, even when these layoffs are happening and all those kind of things, that like we are of the opinion, and people see that within our town hall, our internal discussions, that we genuinely care about our own people first, so that they can take care of their customers the same way that we take care of them. And again, it cannot happen just by saying it. You have to lead it by example, and you have to do that over the past several years, in order for them to see, okay, this is the true company culture, which is, again, we would always prefer people over money. We would always prefer existing customers over new one. And again, you just have to lead with examples. You'd have to lead with examples, by making sure that internally, if anyone need any help in any way, you know your own manager, your own teammate is not the only person who's available over there to help. The entire company is available over there to help, right? So again, we have the Slack channel where, again, people, if they need any help, the great thing about our culture is that they will just post it, and then people from all over the world, like, we have people who are spread across 15 different countries, 250 people, who'll just jump in order to kind of go ahead and help that. And we take note of that. We take note of that. Okay, who's helping, how much, who's going out of the way to help someone in another department. And we make sure that as part of our business process, we appreciate that. We appreciate that in terms of the growth, in terms of giving them more responsibility, in terms of making sure that they know that this is something that the company really cares about.